Climate change and disasters have changed a lot of thinking that how fragile regions should be handled. And that is why finally the center has decided to think about not just development at any cost, but also take in ecological restoration into consideration while looking towards development. So that what we are looking at today is preserved, not destructed for the future generations. And this is exactly what center has told Supreme Court while the decision has been made that only 7 hydroelectric projects will remain in the reaches of Upper Ganga Basin. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and in today's session we are going to understand that why center is talking about limiting the hydroelectric projects to only 7 projects in Upper Ganga Basin, why exactly this has to be told to Supreme Court, what exactly is the case in front of Supreme Court, and where is the policy shift of development going to be. So let us begin with understanding that what is the big decision that center has taken in terms of Uttarakhand Hydel projects. So when we are talking about this whole scenario, as of now, center has said that we will be continuing only 7 projects in the Upper Ganga Basin. 4 are already commissioned and 3 have already achieved substantial physical as well financial projects. Apart from these 7 projects, Union Government of India is not in favor of permitting any other Hydel project, especially when we are talking about Upper Ganga Basin. Upper Ganga Basin, we are referring to Alaknanda and Bhagirathi river basin here, so as to ensure that we are protecting the fragile Himalayan region. Now, when we are looking at these 7 projects, the 7 projects that have been allowed are Tehri PSP Stage 2, Singoli Bhatwari, Madhmeshwar, Kali Ganga 2nd, and there are certain ongoing projects which includes Tapovan Vishnugad, then we have Vishnugad, People Koti and Fata Buyung. These 7 projects will continue on, and there is a very specific reason that the central government has given for this as well. Central government says that the only reason we are allowing these 7 also is because of the fact that a lot of financial investment has already been made. So if we decide to stop them, there will be a massive loss. Second reason is a lot of physical development progress has also been made. And as of now, there are a lot of infrastructure commitments which have been placed in order. So it is required that we stick to the plan of these 7 Hydel projects. But at the same time, in order to ensure that we do not undermine that what can be caused if we do not keep the ecological restoration, ecological protection and the fragility of Himalayas in mind, we don't want to do that. Now, this is where we need to also understand that how come Supreme Court is discussing about what should be done in Uttarakhand and what should be not. So, the story begins in 2013. When we are talking about 2013, we have to remember Uttarakhand had to go through huge number of disasters, cloudbursts, floods, landslides, and that is where massive infrastructure collapse happened. Thousands of lives were taken and we got a recognition towards, probably a more like a reality check, that development at any cost is not the way to go. And that is when a lot of allegation came towards this destruction being caused by the Hydel projects, such as river fragmentation that was done by dams, the blasting, tunneling which destabilized the slope, muck dumping which happens, which worsened the floods, and the reduced river carrying capacity. All of this was put up as allegation against Hydel projects. And since then, Supreme Court has been hearing this case out. And this was the time when center submitted an affidavit from their end to explain this. So from there on, this has been in flow, and what has Supreme Court done since then? Supreme Court has made expert committees for answerability on this. They have examined all the environmental clearances if they were in place or not, and they have also asked the center to give a final policy stand on what end center and on what basis center is looking to get development in this region. The whole idea of judiciary to focus on this case was to ensure that we balance renewable energy, we balance ecological safety, and we also bring in disaster resilience when development, especially in hilly regions, is being talked about. And that is exactly what makes this very important, the commitment from center that it will be only 7 hydroelectric projects, because this is a recognition that Himalayan fragility exists, this is real, and there are major risks which are present in this region where we have seen landslides, we have seen flash floods, seismic activity, and also GLOCs, that is glacial lake outburst floods. So these risks do exist, and if we want to focus on the ecological stability and also disaster resilience, we have to take certain decisions. And this is where center has finally recognized the risks as well as the ecological importance, because this is the source region of river Ganga. If river fragility is harmed, then river Ganga will also be harmed. Biodiversity can be harmed. The sediment and river flow systems can be disrupted. And then we all know the cultural importance of river Ganga, that how it is linked with spiritual as well as civilizational identity in our country. That is why this decision is of great significance. It recognizes the risks, the importance, and based on that, a development plan has been thought of. Before this, it seemed like development at any cost without looking at the importance or without looking at the risks as well. Now let us straight up move to understand that what are going to be the implications of the present scenario and the policy line that has been told to Supreme Court by the government. Now when we are talking about the Himalayan infrastructure policy, with this particular affidavit submission from center, we will see probably stricter guidelines. It would not be so easy to develop projects in Himalayan states. The projects in Himalayan states will have tighter scrutiny if they align with the idea of development without compromising the ecological sensitivities. Furthermore, another important thing that comes out as an implication is the fact that the basin level planning will be at the fulcrum. The whole idea of the upcoming policies would be on understanding cumulative environmental impact and then finalizing them. And of course, this also points us towards a stronger climate governance model, that the infrastructure will be also climate resilient, it will also be climate sensitive, and this is going to increase more and more in future. And then when we are looking into all of this, we also need to understand that Supreme Court looking into this, center giving an answer to the Supreme Court, shows that how the role of judiciary is also evolving, especially when we are looking at environmental governance. Because Supreme Court is clearly reinforcing that the focus should be on sustainable development, precautionary principles, and right to healthy environment. So what we see in front of us marks a very major shift in India's environmental governance, where ecology as well as climate resilience will be the guiding forces of Himalayan development. Because let me go back to another aspect. When you see the development which focuses on clean energy source, energy security, economic growth, but at the same time when we are looking at environment, we also see ecological damage, disaster vulnerability, and river disruption. There has to be a middle path between that, and that is what center is planning. So as to allow the existing projects, which of course affect all of these, but the future expansion would be focused on relieving and making sure that this does not happen more. It is not further exacerbated. I hope you have a fair clarity on what exactly center has pitched and why. Now I will be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.